we're looking forward to hearing all about it, and we welcome you to the stage.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm so glad today to be amongst all of you. So let me just start with Dr. Milan's first message on the LinkedIn, the post that I saw, and also Dr. Harbin's when she reposted that it is all about values and volunteerism. And since I'm an entrepreneur, and that too a first generation entrepreneur, I have seen a lot of change in value system in this professional setup, especially from the country where I'm coming from, India. And also, I'm really glad that most of you know about New Delhi, and we have got that connect, amongst us. So good to know. In fact, I met Budil also a few years back. I don't know if she remembers. So actually that got me to this. I immediately jumped into it and registered because this topic is so very close to my heart. Now, I'll first start with the journey that I had rather than sharing the presentation with all you lovely ladies. I just love the presentations that you gave, but being a consultant, I prefer connecting, heart to heart than giving those presentations because that's a regular job. So, as I said, that I am a first generation entrepreneur. When I started this organization, with a feeling that I will inculcate those values in my clients as far as climate change is concerned, gender equality is concerned. As a consultant, I had big hopes. And let me tell you, ladies, that my organization is a teenager already. It's a 15 years young organization. During this process, I chose not to have my own kids rather than in fact, I thought of investing that time also in this organization, building it up over the years. So when I talk, it's actually straight from the heart because I gave my heart and soul. As far as the personal life is also concerned, the both merged. And over these years I've seen the value system changing in the people, the DNA, be it personal, professional, because we all are dealing with humans at the end of the day, be it in a personal space or professional space. So what happens is, and as Dr. Milan also said right now, that post-COVID, in the kids especially, there is a slight change in the value system. So as an entrepreneur, when I started taking interviews, even for my own setup, I saw there is a breakdown in the entire fabric as far as the value, the ethics, the integrity is concerned, and how, when you take them on board, they're mentally fragile at times. The times 2-3 years actually played a havoc on their minds. Most of them, they come back and they tell you that you cannot grill us for a particular thing, you cannot correct us for a particular thing because that leads to mental health issues. And I was particularly concerned because your mind is a very, very strong thing. It's not that, okay, I will interrupt you in a certain way, I will try to course correct you in a certain way, and you will break down. That won't lead to suicide. And at that juncture, I realized that though I have a profit organization, which is my organization, I'm a founder, Vision 360 Management Consulting. I also started a non-profit organization, which is Bodhi Foundation, and that deals with the mental issues of these youngsters, where we empower them. It's through awareness sessions. It's not just, counseling. It's also telling them about how the things should be in the corporate world, because it's actually a rat race everywhere. Now, when I talk about India, I am proud that I come from a country which is of Mahatma Gandhi and other spiritual leaders. And when I was speaking to somebody here, right now I'm in England, and when I was speaking to somebody at a gala dinner here a week back, the entire table was awestruck that I'm coming from a country, India, there are lots of values, integrity there. But sometimes you just can't close your eyes on the things. You need to be very, very vigilant where exactly it is going wrong. Maybe because of the political things, maybe because of the economic changes that are happening, or the market dynamics, how they're changing, and you need to be prepared. Your younger generation need to be prepared. There are youngsters from the age group of 20 to 25 who are mentally very, very fragile. And I, as an individual, have taken up this responsibility of at least training 10 to 15 people, these youngsters, so that they come up really well as far as this curve is concerned, either it is professional or personal. Now, coming back to my organization where we are imparting these sustainability consulting services to the larger organizations, I've seen the value system breaking down. We are talking about climate action here, sustainability here, where we are trying to cope up with UN SDGs 2030 agenda, where my country has committed to 2070 as the net zero, but we are not moving anywhere. The reason is exactly the same, the values in the organization. So when we create those sustainability reports for the organization, when we talk about structural changes in their processes, there comes a massive resistance from top to bottom, because again, I'll come back to the same thing: integrity, ethics, and values. Who are you trying to fool? It's the same shared resource. If you're talking about the planet Earth, if you're talking about the water, the air, or the other resources. And I can tell you numerous stories when these larger organizations have also threatened us to just throw us out of the organization because we are trying to show them the path. This is how it should be. Our thing should not become detrimental to other countries, to the people from the other lands, even the neighboring countries. And that is the reason why I'm here, to propel the idea. And the gala dinner and the thing that I was talking about, that the reason why I'm in England was precisely for the same reason, that though there are certain things that are being discussed at various COPs or the agreements, climate agreements happening across the globe, but the status quo is different. And how it is different is precisely because of the value system. The reason I'm coming back to the values is that I have seen this in both the spaces, be it while dealing with the younger minds, or dealing with the leaders in the organizations. And that is where we are inculcating the wrong values. Pardon me if I am just being too candid, but this is exactly what I feel. Until the time I feel that we are able to recognize the problem, we would not be able to go ahead with that. In my space, in my ecosystem back in India, I have realized that no matter how much you talk about gender equality, sustainability, mental health, these three things have been understated. There are lots and lots of talks that are going around it, but there is no actual work that is happening. When I'm saying no actual work, it doesn't mean that there is no work happening. What I want to say is that the work that should be done in this particular space, in these three areas, that's not happening. That's not enough, because we are racing against the time. When UN had put this 2030 agenda and then we bargained for 2050 and my country bargained for 2070, imagine the race that we have, that we are, just running. So these three things, I am again coming back to that, because in my space, in my organization, both for profit and for non-profit organizations, sorry, I'm dealing with these three things simultaneously. So if there is a mix match right now, it is because everything is intertwined. The way UN SDGs are, there is nothing which is in silo. Everything is interlinked. If there is a problem when it comes to the mental health of the younger generation, it impacts my business, it impacts the quality of work. What we are doing in the area of sustainability or the climate action, it impacts directly the entire commitment that my country is giving as far as this particular thing is concerned, the climate action and sustainability. It does impact the entire globe, because India is we have the highest number of people on earth. That what we boast for, and that's where the change should come from. I may be a very small fish in the entire ecosystem. I may not have a larger than life organization. People talk of Adanis and the likes of Adanis and Ambanis in India. I may not be that, but I know that one single step from one single person can take you a long way, and that's where I'm trying to create the change in the entire system. So when I spoke about my non-profit venture and the profit venture, I tried to cover both the things, dealing with the mental health of the people due to the breakdown in the value system somewhere. I am nobody to comment, and it's not my place to comment on people across the globe. But what I can talk about the people I'm dealing with in India, in my country, and their that value system is somewhere deteriorating. It's not about the values, what we feel for elders here. If you have visited India, you might be knowing how passionate we are about the families there, how we give regards to the elders. And when I visit England or the rest of the Europe, I feel that these are like two poles. But there are some fundamentally very good values here what I would like our people to imbibe somewhere. So because it's not only about your family, parents, I feel, should also think about at this point in time inculcating values about the country, about the climate, about making people more resilient, about your ethics, about the value system in your office, in your professional space, being mentally very, very strong and not fragile. I've seen so many things on social media where there are a lot of counseling sessions going on, giving, a path, showing a path to these youngsters. But somewhere, I feel they need to be more resilient. They need to come up more stronger. When we are talking about this particular curve, we need people who can actually make a difference rather than just talking or being faceless on the internet, just talking, or keyboard warriors. And that's where my organization, which is a non-profit organization working towards coming back to the organizations, India is home to the largest number of startups in the last few years. There are industries that are flourishing. I'll give you an example how it is impacting, and we are not doing much towards the gender equality because the weak value system is. I'll just give you a very recent example. One of my clients from France wanted to do some work with an Indian company, and for that, because in Europe they pay a lot of attention to child labor, to the women's welfare in the organization. So they wanted to run an audit on an organization that is in India. So basically, it's about an audit on the value system of their organization. They wanted to check the DNA of the organization. And when we tried to dig in, we figured out that despite being 80% of the female workforce in the organization, the washroom that they were using were men's. There was no washroom or a restroom for women in an organization where there were 80% females. And when we tried to cross-check with the organization, they were just, that feeling of that doesn't matter. They were completely indifferent about this fact. So if you see a very glamorous India, there is an India which is like 70% this, where we have to make a difference. And that's where I'm trying to take the baby steps and trying to create the value system in the organizations. And believe you me, the resistance is huge. It is enormous. Though there have been changes systematically happening at the government level also, where we have schemes running, and I'm trying to leverage those government schemes as well. Me being a small-time entrepreneur, you can say, or the first generation entrepreneur, the challenges are huge, but these baby steps have taken me to London, from New Delhi to London. The path has been really challenging, full of thorns, me being a woman entrepreneur, it's not a great thing to say that I'm a woman entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. It should be like that. So when I talk about the gender equality and values and volunteerism, it's exactly what I mean. That the path hasn't been uh, it hasn't been like a bed of roses for me. I have traveled through those thorns as well. But for others, for my clients, for the purpose I started this organization 15 years back, it's worth it. I'm open to questions. I can see Budil smiling.
Sanchita, thank you so much. It's always amazing to see the cultural differences that truly make an impact. And yet we're all working so hard to make sure that the values that we believe in are there for the benefit of others. And like you said, it's an uphill battle at times. You know, you're working against it. That example of there being 80% women in the workforce, but no bathrooms dedicated to them. So, you know, this is entirely against the values of any kind of fair organization. But we have to also understand that we're working across a world. We're not working within one microculture. So, Sanchita, what is your advice or guidance or experience in relation to how culture affects the values and how do you drive it in the right direction?
Culture does play an important role, Tracy. As I said, the country I'm coming from, it's very solid on values. But the values that we talk about and the values that I am talking about, they are, very different. Those values are there in us, in the entire southern part of the world, you can say, or the Asians, probably, if you say. But those values are mostly now restricted to the family values, and that's not enough. It should start percolating down your entire structure, entire ecosystem. World has become a global village. You can't survive on Indian values alone, or you just can't survive. As I said, I'm in England. I can see beautiful values in people. Uh, and I would like to take them back. It's not my first visit, but probably it's my first visit as a professional as well, where I've come with a certain set of things in my mind that I want to, just discuss them here as in this part of the world, and take back certain things. And probably, when you have that global exposure, you know that you're dealing with the world at large. You're not just talking about Asia. You're not just talking about Indian value system. You're not just talking about imbibing good values in kids. You're talking about good values in elders as well. Because I can't be a babysitter all my life. Sometimes you're dealing with, big babies. And those big babies are in the organization. They're the leaders who know exactly what they're doing, and they know that that's not morally right. They know that what they're doing with the climate or as far as sustainability is concerned, or as far as gender equality is concerned. I face a lot of trouble in my country, though being an entrepreneur, though have won several awards for a lot of things, but I still face that every day. It's a
Mm,
long battle. So, it can't be about one culture anymore.
absolutely.
You're dealing with so many things across the globe that now it should be one package. You can't work in silos. You
Absolutely
have to
right.
work like a team. And
You're
that's
so
why I'm so
right.
glad that we have ladies from all across.
Yeah, you're right, because the world has opened up. It's not optional to stay micro anymore. And just before we run out of time, Sanchita, Angela has her hand up. Angela, in our last minute or two here, tell us, what would you love to share or ask?
I think again it comes back to the fact that there are universal values that we can plug into. And I think again it's translating, getting the dialogues going from around the world in terms of translating what do those values actually look like? What do they translate into, so that we can get to a universal language of values as opposed to the kind of polarized into our own individual countries. And again, because that just takes us into who's right, who's wrong. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela. You're so right, and it's echoing exactly what Sanchita was saying. So, Sanchita, thank you for sharing that with us. It is a constant journey that we are all on. You're absolutely right. But again, that is why we're all here as well, because we believe in it. So thank you for the work that you do and for bringing values into the heart of that. So, and thank you for sharing it with us here today.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thanks. So we are moving onwards, folks, and we are this time going to bring up to